This is the Sony FDR AX33 4K Handycam camera. In this video, we will take a look at the parts of the camera, removing and inserting your camera battery, connecting the power adapter to charge the camera battery and power the camera, inserting and formatting your SD card to record your videos, menu settings, manual settings, and finally configuring and utilizing the manual ring. In the front, we have a lens cover that opens when you open up the LCD screen. We have a manual ring to adjust manual settings, a manual button on the side, a touch screen to get to the menus, an HDMI connection, power, a playback camera toggle to review your footage, SD card slot, a mic input, headphone output, and a multi-connector, a zoom rocker, W to zoom out wide, and T to zoom in telephoto. A battery release. When putting the battery on, make sure that the contacts of the battery meet the contacts of the camera. A record start stop button. Also in the back, there's a DC input. Connect your power adapter to the DC input, and the other end goes to your wall outlet. When putting in the SD card, you want to make sure that the contacts go into the camera and facing the lens. The label should be facing the battery. And now we're going to the menu setup. We're going to media settings. And here is where we're going to format our memory card. Once you do this process, everything on the SD card is erased. So we hit format. You want to make sure you're doing this when you first get your memory card and after you've backed up all your material and want to clear it out. Click memory card, execute, OK. We have a remaining time and it's complete. And we hit OK. Now we want to go to Setup, General Settings, and Initialize. This will set the camera to the factory default settings. So that way we build up the settings from the ground up. So if there was any setting that was performed in your previous production or someone else's production, it will not be a detriment because we're going to build up our settings from the ground up. And we press OK to reboot. We go to our language settings, our date and time. And click OK. Now, after we go back to the factory default settings using the initialize, what happens is the camera goes into demo mode. And we want to go to our general settings and go into demo mode and set it to off. Demo mode is really meant for a retailer's showroom to demonstrate how the camera functions. Next, we want to go to image quality / size and to file format. And by default, when we set it, it's going to AVCS 4K. This may be more taxing on your system, and we strongly recommend, especially at an introductory level, to use XAVCS HD. It's a higher quality than AVC HD, and all the clips are saved in individual files. Unlike AVC HD, which saves all the clips into a single file, also known as a movie container. Next, we go to image quality / size and frame rate. Now you want to make sure you set your frame rate according to your project requirements. Here we're going to set it to 60p. Now we go to camera/mic and manual settings. And here we could see our list of manual settings. We want to go to white balance. Currently it's set to auto. We have daylight, incandescent, but what we're going to do is set it to manual. And we put our reference card in front of our subject and press set, and processes it, and the camera adjusts according to that color temperature. And then it sets our white balance. Now we're going to take a look at spot meter/focus, and spot meter and spot focus. You could adjust the exposure or the focus through a touchscreen action by using these features. So now we're in exposure, and we hit the negative and positive buttons on the lower left and right to make those adjustments. And the same goes for focus. We could change focus manually. And again, in the lower left, we have a portrait and a landscape in the lower right for focal distance. And same thing for iris. We go from auto to manual, and we could set the iris. Here we see an f-stop. So we have f4, f8, f6.2. Increase it, it goes to f9.6. Now for shutter speed, we could go to manual. The lowest shutter speed is 8. You'll get a lot of motion blur if you set it to 8. If we're doing 60p, 60 frame rate, we want to set it to as close to double. So in this instance, it would be 125 we would be setting it to, unless we had a situation where we were trying to capture something that was very fast moving. If it was a sporting event or track a moving car, we want to set it to a higher shutter speed. But every time we increase the shutter speed, it also darkens the image. Okay, so this is steady shot. This is our image stabilizer. We want to be in active if we're going handheld, and we want to be in standard if we are using a tripod. You never want this setting to be set to off. If you set it to off and you're on a tripod, any little subtle movement, any slight wind may rattle the image. And now we're in microphone setting. So this should, rule of thumb at the introductory level, be set to auto. But if you're going to be doing any deliberate field recording, or you're recording a performance to have even levels, you want to make sure that you switch it over to manual and you plug in headphones and you monitor what those levels are. Here we have peaking, and what peaking allows us to do is see an outline of where our critical focus is in the camera. And here we could set the outline to red, and if we adjust the focus, we could see the outline going from the foreground and to the background as we adjust focus. And if your subject is wearing red, you could change it to white or yellow. And now we're going to record a short clip. We're going to toggle from camera mode to playback mode. And using the touchscreen, play back the clip. But let's say we don't want the clip. We could touch the screen and there's a trash icon. We click that, click OK, it's executing, and that clip is gone. And finally, we're going to take a look at the manual ring. So you could see here that the manual ring settings could be set by holding down the manual button, and we can navigate through the menu by using the ring, and once we make a selection, we press the manual button again. The functions that could be assigned under the manual ring are zoom, focus, exposure, iris, shutter speed. So here we'll select focus, and using the manual ring we'll be able to perform a rack focus. So we're switching between the subject in the foreground and the subject in the background, and back again.